Welcome back, everyone. So what I'm doing is finishing up my look at this Mazzarin's Demise 6 version 4 rc10a game. I believe that's but what the heck did I miss? Holy crap, there's a vengeance going around. And yeah, so I'm back in the game, and it looks like there's a vengeance that's continuing to if you're not sure what that is, that was that green looking it looks like a dispersal dream, but it's green. And holy cow, what have I missed? Seriously, here is that that pesky little shooty, for lack of a better word. I have no idea what it is, but that's more or less what people. Wow, nice. It must have been a sleigh bow, or it must have been this thing. I don't even know what that is. Some kind of super sleigh bow thing or another. I don't even know what that is. But here's another beholder. Gets pushed back by these archers, it looks like. And then some dragon action. It looks like Flick 42 did manage to steal this dragon. Actually, it must have been God's Fire that stole the dragon. There's a Mazzarin crystal called Enslaved Dragon. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened here is Flick 42 enslaved this blue dragon and handed it off to Flick 42, where he's at right now, and he's pretty close. He's on his way to getting a 250 kill berserker, I should say, which is kind of like the apex of where a berserker can be. That's like the paragon of berserkness. As at level 3, they can they basically have you know, buffs. I sort of went over this in the last video, but here we have Pyromancer using his fountain ability, and I tried to be able to kind of pull up the control bar, but for some reason that's not working. So I don't know why I can't pull that up even when I enable it before I launch the game. So it's kind of weird, but yeah. So let's see if we can take stock to see where we're at. Right now, Mazzarin has enabled his aura of defense. That's why you see this this kind of strange glow around him. And yeah, so one of the things that I wanted to mention too. The first video is kind of like a tutorial, as I'm talking about like the different ways that these units can be played. You know, their different styles of play, and also the different options they have in terms of in-game attacks and, you know, and that kind of thing. There's a dispersal dream there, so probably Mazzarin wants to go pick that up. Oh, it looks like he used telekinesis to launch that towards him to pick it up, but a random explosion excuse me, could set that off, and that could be bad news for this army that's situated in this area. So yeah, I wanted to just discuss in the first video kind of the ways in which these units are played, and then in the second video perhaps, you know, go into more depth into in terms of like what's happening like in the game. Excuse me. So yeah, it looks like this Flick is laying down some that was a hammer and anvil right there, and he's actually, Sormiron's actually doing pretty well. He's level 3 with that Pathfinder, so he's doing really good in dispatching these this Myrkidon wave. So pretty cool there. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about, and you know, this is another interesting bit of strategy. If you can aggro like that. Let's see, it's coming from over here. It looks like somebody must have launched that unit, that shooty, because what it's doing is it's sending see this little attack here that's moving in on the dragon. It actually heals the dragon. I don't know if you saw that. So if you can aggro those on the dragon, they are worth you know, keeping alive, because they can heal your dragon over time, as well as black storm clouds can heal your dragons as well if you do in fact take those. And blue dragons do have that lightning ability there, as we saw. Although probably want to hang on to that dispersal dream there for Mazzarin. Looks like Inquisitor ended up dropping for whatever reason. Bushmaster, I believe, is Kirk, which I'm not sure if I mentioned that previously or not. So I don't know if No, Zoso has the Forest Giant. I'm not sure who Bushmaster had. I'm pretty sure that is Kirk, but I don't know for sure. So I'm not sure what's going on there. A couple of players had 0% at some point in time or another, but it looks like almost everybody has units now, except for Bushmaster. So I don't know what the heck he's doing. Yeah. So you know, this Mazzarin's Demise can be pretty taxing. It can be really crazy because you can just lose it and just, you know, it can seem like you're gonna win, and then all of a sudden, like, one tiny thing just ruins it for everyone, and you end up losing. Looks like Flick42 does indeed have a level 3 Berserker, I guess they're called here, which is good for him. He picked up something. I didn't quite see what it was, but he's running around with that. And another hammer and anvil on those mauls. Gotta love those physics-based attacks there. So down to 70% is this team for now, and yeah, you know, it happens so often where, you know, you get to the end game basically, and then everything just goes south, and you know, it's very possible that that happens in this game. It happens in most games, I should say. Almost no games are you know, straight up lost. It's usually like a slow battle of attrition, where you know, one thing after another happens where, you know, the team just ends up losing because of a like a cascade of events that occur. Uh-oh, you better be careful, Stormy Ron. He's kind of in the middle of this hellfire, although it looks like he's going to avoid it after all. But slightly. He's actually picking up quite a number of kills. Uh-oh, he kind of misclicked there and moved into those mauls, perhaps when he didn't want to. Telekinesis on Maz. Still, you can see him launching these crystals kind of towards the general vicinity. And he's basically, God's Fire is attempting to, I imagine he's full on crystals, but he wants to, there's another crystal that he launched towards himself. He wants to keep his options open, so he wants to keep as many crystals accessible as possible, is kind of what I'm interpreting, how I'm choosing to interpret his actions. And the reason why that's good is, you know, because later on in the game there's an ammo artifact there, another crystal there. There's just lots of drops all over the place on this map. Here's a red crystal for either the Demolitionist, the Dwarven Demolitionist, or the Dwarven Strider. And there we saw the effects of a telekinesis right there. So there's a lot to look at in a game of Mazzarin's Demise, which is why it's, I would say it's nearly impossible to beat on Legendary by yourself. Like playing solo, it's more or less impossible. I don't know if anybody could do that. I guess it's possible, but I just don't think, I don't know. That's way beyond my abilities. And I think it'd be incredible to watch somebody do it single player. That is a Wraith moving in. We'll zoom in and give you a visual of what they look like. They're kind of like these ghost-looking creatures that move in and out of existence. There's the death animation. It looks like Shards was used by Mazzarin to take it out, which is a pretty effective spell, I would have to say. All these mauls are going to be eaten up. These are just regular mauls. And that Hellfire is going to go down and try to destroy the main body of that Maul wave, I should say. Meanwhile, there is some Thrall and Mercuria. These are Mithril Thrall, so this is a subsequent wave to the just the regular Stone Thrall that we see at the beginning. Wow, Spa, I believe, is the Electromancer. He is laying down quite a number of spells there, using up pretty much all his mana. As you can see, he hardly has any mana left. He probably does have recharge crystals though, so I'm pretty certain that that's how he was able to, or why he chose to do that. And as we can see, he is kind of building up his mana a little bit, but that's going to take a long time without recharge crystals. Here is another Mercuria wave, and those are pretty tough to deal with. I think one of the best ways to deal with them is through, there's a Dead Mortar airstrike, I believe, or several airstrikes, I should say. One of the best ways to deal with them is through what I would I would probably call it, I would probably say like a storm or something like that. Or possibly, there's actually a variety of ways to deal with that, but storm is a pretty good way, as it damages them and kind of heals your vulnerable guys at the same time. They just kind of gather around underneath the storm. It's actually quite effective. As you can see, the team is now down to 67%, and there is, uh-oh. I guess that's not really going to hurt the dragon, is it? I don't think dragons can be turned to stone, so they're pretty ideal for taking out race and things like that. But yeah, there is a demon lord somewhere in this game, although I'm having trouble seeing him right now. Wow, look at all these crystals everywhere. It's incredible. Some games just go like that. They're just drops everywhere. And other games, they're, you know, and look, another crystal over there. Other games, it's, you know, it's kind of like a crystal lottery. Some games you do well, and other games you don't. It's really hard to look at all these crystals. They're just littered. The map is just littered with crystals everywhere. This is like a dream come true for Mazzarin, a Mazzarin player. Okay, so this must be the Demon Lord here. As we can see, Attraction is thrown down on him, which is a pretty good spell considering that Flick 42 is going to try to focus him down. Let's see how fast he can do this. The Demon Lord has a ton of HP, so it's pretty difficult to take him out. But as we've seen in the past, the Demolitionist is pretty tough. His damage is, his attack does significant damage, so it's just a matter of time, I think, before that Demon Lord is going to go down here, as his health is getting worked. So pretty good use of Attraction there in concert with the Demolitionist, I'd have to say. And pretty good use of the Dragon as well to take out some of these mini-bosses. And that Tro's going to try to spar with that Dragon, but that Dragon is actually one of the you know, I guess one of the better mini-bosses that you can have on your side, although I'd be interested in, like, perhaps like a Merilith. If there was a way to charm a Merilith, that would be pretty cool, but unfortunately there isn't a way that I know of anyway. And Beholders are okay, but not that cool. They're too slow to be valuable, I think, in a charmed, you know, if you were to charm them. The Merilith, though, has a lot of HP and is pretty quick, so I think Merilith would be pretty nice. So yeah, so we can see that the team started off kind of in this area and then eventually moved their way down and around in a counterclockwise fashion. And the reason for that is just because of dealing with the Demon Lord, but also just moving to where there's like fresh landscape. In other words, the bushes and trees offer some extra roots and whatnot. And also you want to be, you don't want to be in an area that's scarred like this, because it makes seeing the enemies very difficult. So you can avoid that if possible. If you can avoid that, then perhaps you should. Here's Flick 42 healing up his dragon under that Dark Storm. That's a pretty good way to restore some of the health on that unit. Although dragons have a lot of HP, so I guess it doesn't do all that much. Still, it's better than leaving them under. If you have a regular storm from the Electromancer from Mazzarin, that will actually damage the dragon significantly, especially if it's like a level 3 storm or one of Mazzarin's storms. And this is actually a good way to get vets for your herons, is to attack ghost archers with them, or even like fetch, as ghost archers have a tendency to shoot paralysis bows, and those don't affect heron guards, so heron guards are pretty good when used in that way. Merilith, of course, going to cast Confusion on Flick 42's level 3 Berserk. This is weird. I don't know why. Why did God's Fire let loose that firewall, but that did a lot of damage to Flick 42's level 3 Berserk. And what was weird also was the level 3 Berserk. I don't think level 3 anything used to get confused, but now they do. So I don't know if the script is broken or what, but we saw him just moonwalking in place. He wasn't acting like he really was confused. It kind of felt a little artificial, or it seemed that way anyway. Looks like a firewall might be laid down here by Creamy Cowboy, and that is indeed what he is opting to do. Although he has to be careful. I think he just got hit by something. And oh no, Stormy Ron's Berserk got hit by that Wraith, and that brought down his kills significantly. So Wraiths have a couple of attacks. They will turn you to stone, and or their other attack is kind of a ranged de-vetting attack, which is equally as frustrating, if not more so. And another firewall going down from Mazzarin. He is full up on the Dispersal Dream, so he's looking pretty good. But firewalls don't really do a whole lot against Marilis, I have to say. And Pompey went ahead and paralyzed that Marilith to keep him anchored in place. And I'm curious to see if he's going to fire any bows, slaying bows or anything like that at him. Doesn't look that way. Looks like Creamy Cowboy is going to lay down some another Hellfire, and Scratch's Archer gets devetted by, I don't know, some kind of Wraith. I didn't quite see where it was at though. But that's always quite frustrating, as you know, that's a significant amount of kills that pretty much get, I don't know if it's wasted is the right word, but they certainly do seem that way. It does seem like they are wasted, as there are a finite number of monsters that you can kill, I believe, on this map. So you know, if those get taken away, then that's less you know, leveling up and stuff like that than you're able to do. So that was a what was that? That was the spell from the Pyromancer, which I still don't know what the name of it is. There's a bunch of airstrikes going down. Takes out a Wraith, actually. So the Red Dragon is not something that can be taken out through that spell that we saw earlier, since the Red Dragon is sort of immune to fire. So it, but it is, I think it is susceptible to electricity, so that's one way to take it out. And these guys are immune to electricity as well as the, as I think the Blue Dragon. I don't know if they're immune, but they're certainly not susceptible to it. There's a recharge crystal over there, and looks like, yeah, some ammunition right there also. So you know, it looks like the Mancers have, you know, as long as these guys can be taken out, some Berserkers could move in there and pick some of that stuff up to be used for the Mancers. So it looks like they could potentially be taken care of here. Another meteor going to go down on that Archlich, and it barely scrapes him. I don't think it does very much damage. You kind of have to hit it spot on to really do a lot of damage. Here's another meteor that's about to go down, but it looks like that was kind of a waste. Maybe right here would have been better on that shooty. And that hill blocks that that dragon's special there. And uh-oh, here's a Ghost Mortar. Where is he? Right there. Ghost Mortar launching his attack. And what are these? Are these Mithril? Yeah, these are Mithril Thrall as well. So it's still the same wave. And we can see that bow, that Furbolg picking up an extra bow just lying around. So yeah, this game is a lot about just picking up random drops that are pretty much scattered throughout the map from killing enemies. They just randomly pop out of some enemies at, you know, different junctions. And so a lot of people refer to the Crystal Lottery when they play Mazzarin's Demise, because sometimes you get good ones and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get a lot of crystals and sometimes you don't. So that plays into the dynamic of the game as well. So here's a wave, and these are Stygian Lords. They're not Stygian Knights, they're Stygian Lords, and these guys are ridiculous. You want to dispatch these guys as soon as possible before they can get to your army, and it looks like Flick42 is going to attempt to do that with his hammer and anvil. He kind of overshoots a little bit though, but manages to take out a number of those Stygian Lords. And I think he might be able to do, yes, one more. Oh, That was a little truncated, but that does all right. There's a tro train, which is what this is called. When there's this is a wave of tro that come at you, and so one way to deal with them is to throw down a dispersal dream, which is what we saw there, and actually managed to take out a number of these tro, and so the rest will be dispatched with pretty easily. That is a triggered wave that occurs a couple of points throughout the game, and this just happens to be the first instance of that. So that's so far so good. The team still retains about 2/3 of their force as they move now into the south/southeast, and there's a changeling. Immolate is the name of that spell, and so the Pyromancer immolated that changeling before it had a chance to wreak any havoc. So that's a good way of taking those out. Immolate is actually good also on, say, blue dragons or green dragons, and perhaps a few other units as well. So this is kind of a lull in the middle of the game where there's not a whole lot of waves that have reached this team just yet, so they have a little bit of time to kind of move around and do some stuff. There goes the special, although the Electromancer is going to finish him off with his chain spell. And so Spa, he has significantly more mana than he had just a few minutes ago, so I think it's almost certain that he does have a recharge crystal. And here are some giant mauls now making their way down. And I'm curious to see how they're going to be taken out. No, I think Flick42 kind of needs to be careful here. He is trying to take out that giant spider and maybe get a few more kills, but he has to be careful because he's stuck in this small area. Fortunately for him, he isn't going to be flinching to basically interrupt that heal on himself. So that's pretty good for him, although he does need to keep healing himself, keep an eye on that unit there, because... And there he is. He is going to retreat. There is a purple crystal, which I think is what he's after. Because if he gets that purple crystal, now he has this timer that you cannot unequip. Basically, it runs down to 0. But in the meantime, he has basically, I believe it gives him like Necrobane, which deals significantly. Significantly increased damage to, for instance, undead enemies, and also it allows him to infinite heal all day long, any kind of unit he wants. Friendly units, undead units, whatever. So it's very, very, very useful, although in this instance I don't think it's very useful because he's in the middle of these maul packs. So if there was like Thrall and stuff like surrounding him, or other undead types of units, another Tro train over here, Mazzarin's going to put on his Aura of Defense, and really Zoso needs to take out these Tro with that Forest Giant. That Forest Giant can do a lot of damage to those Tro. Mazzarin's actually doing pretty well with Ponder on the Paladin here. I guess they could have taken out all those by themselves. Flick42 is still in this area. He is just going to be spam healing his own units and attempting to focus down these mauls. Although he has to be careful. He is going to pick up that Hammer and Anvil crystal with his Demolitionist, but he needs to be careful because that dwarf, while it does have a lot of health, it's going to be difficult for him to get out of here since he is so slow. And he kind of threw that one backwards. I don't know if you saw that or not. Now he's really low on health. Oh my gosh, is he going to die? I think he might die here. He needs to heal him. Is he going to heal him? No! Wow, Flick42 ends up losing his Demolitionist right there in the middle there. Unfortunate outcome for him, as I was pretty certain that he could have been able to hang on to that Demolitionist. That Demolitionist could have been very useful in the late game as well, and taking out Black Thrall and things like that, which we'll see later. Here are some more Mithril Thrall making their way across the map. They are going to be crossing this middle area, and yeah, what else is happening? I don't know. So another thing I noticed is that it's very, very unwise to rush these Warlocks of Fire with things like Berserks and Heron Guards. You might be tempted to do so, because they're pretty vulnerable. They're easily dispatched of, and so on and so forth. But when they they kind of randomly fire, and sometimes they fire enough power behind their fireballs that kind of go in different directions. If all of them hit you simultaneously, it can kill a single unit in one hit. It can one-shot your guys, and that's happened to me on a number of occasions, even on a couple of these films that that I've uploaded to YouTube in the past. So it looks as if Sormiron now has replaced Flick42 kind of in this middle area. He's going to try to get some easy kills with some of these units, but he has to be careful because there's a Wraith moving in on him. So he is going to hightail it out of there. And I don't know, is Ponder going to move in? Does he see that there's a Wraith there, or is he going to heal it? I'm not sure. And already, it's only an hour and 36 minutes into the game, and already we have kind of the music announcing the arrival of the final wave. So after these Mithril Thrall are taken care of, there is one more wave of Thrall, and that's going to be the Black Thrall. So this is this kind of music, this musical interlude announces the final wave of Thrall, the Black Thrall wave, which we'll see in just a moment. As they do kind of start out on they warp in on the edge of the map and then kind of walk towards their units. So I think it's okay. I think this team is in a pretty good place, even though they just lost that. Oh, here we go. So you can see. Oh, okay. I guess that's Frost Ward, which is a Mazzarin crystal. I guess it's been casted on one of these enemies here. But Flick42 still has that purple crystal, which gives him Necrobane. As you can see, whenever he hits a Thrall, there's like a white fire thing inside of that attack, as you can see there as a result. And what that does is it focuses down Thrall quite a bit. As we can see, that music gets interrupted by some crazy shenanigans. This unit over here, that was a Lich King or Lich, I don't know, I guess a regular Lich ended up dying. This guy over here is kind of in trouble. Flick42 trying to take care of business, but at the same time, I think if I were him, maybe I would just heal all these Thrall. I don't know if I would, actually sit there and try to focus them down. And it looks like, was that a teleheal by the Paladin? I think perhaps it was. Yep, teleheal. That's the Mac. That's the image for that. And some units over here trying to get these crystals, or I'm sorry, these bows that are just lying around for the big boss wave, which is about to occur. As we can see, here are some Black Thrall lumbering towards the player team. And some more over here. Now, one of the things that Black Thrall, besides just being ridiculously... Oh, Necrobane on the Paladin, which is really good, because then that allows him to focus down the Black Thrall pretty handily. So, between the Forest Giant and the Paladin, I think dispatching the Black Thrall should be somewhat easy. But the thing that distinguishes Black Thrall from the other Thrall waves is that Black Thrall cannot be dispatched of with heals. And that was a crystal from Mazzarin, that green thing. What was that? It's called an Eldritch Lance, and it does more damage the longer it's kind of in motion. Mazzarin just sitting under that black cloud kills that that Lich with that meteor. But yeah, so the Eldritch Lance, the longer it's going for, the more damage it does. So the more, I guess, momentum it has behind it. It's a pretty interesting attack, but it's hard to lead units with it. So you have to kind of get in a place where you're going to hit them no matter what. So meteors going down every which way. As you can see, these Black Thrall have quite a bit of health. And I'm not sure why Ponder is using the Necrobane on the Merilith, because I don't think it really gives him a buff when fighting things like Meriliths. So the other thing to watch out for is where the Watcher is going to come in, because the Watcher is going to make his way to this forest pretty soon. I think it's just a matter of time, and the Watcher is kind of the main boss unit in this map. He has considerable number of spells. Uh-oh, here's another mini boss. He's going to land right here. This is a black dragon, and black dragons just are ridiculous. So I think he's got some kind of regen on him. I think the paladin placed that on him to slowly reduce his health, because black dragons do considerable amount of damage, but it looks like Spa and Zoso going to attempt to focus that down. He's going to run away with that berserk there. And there's a vengeance going down. That is that green, this green dispersal dream, and basically, you know, I'll let you take a look. It kills enemy units, and it appears to do a little bit of damage, but also to heal friendly units. So it's actually quite useful if you can get it linked for you know, a significant length of time. It can potentially last forever, as long as your units don't spread it out and lose that that ability for it to chain react like this. So it's actually quite good. And a couple of beholders going to move in, another dragon, another Merilith, so a lot of mini bosses actually on the way. There's another beholder there, and that was a mana bonus. That was a crystal that the paladin picks up that does kind of a random buff for all of your units. So it could be a health bonus, it could be an ammunition bonus, or it could be a mana bonus, as we saw right here. So he is going to place a regen on that dragon as well, doing damage over time. And this this blue dragon is still alive, which is pretty good, and this vengeance is still alive, which is also quite good. And placing the Frost Ward on the Berserk is actually quite a good thing to do, as this is the level 3 Berserk, so he does his damage is significantly greater than, you know, level 1 or level 2 Berserk. So any second now we should see the arrival of the Watcher, so keep your eyes out for that. There are some more mini bosses moving in, working their way into the fray. And this vengeance is still going on, so that's great for the team, because they want that to go on as long as they can to kind of milk that spell for as much as possible. Here's some more. Looks like giant mauls on the way. Those should be taken out kind of easily. So what the team wants to do is they want to keep that vengeance in. Oh, that vengeance ended up going away because everybody ended up spreading out. Basically, if you keep everyone in a tight kind of formation, that vengeance could potentially last forever, like I was mentioning before. So interesting. I think Spa wanted to launch the Beholder in towards the team, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, since that Beholder was essentially paralyzed, and when the Beholder's paralyzed, they're basically anchored in place. So some more dragons going down. Oh my goodness, actually two new team dragons. These are both dragons that the team controls. Scratch controlling one, Flick 42 the other. So that is really useful, as the dragons are pretty dang good at aggroing damage and dispatching units. The green one is really good at paralyzing groups of enemies as well. But all of a sudden we see the Watcher, and the Watcher is on his way. The best way to deal damage to the Watcher is, funnily enough, to take out the Black Thrall. So that's basically the primary way of doing damage to the Watcher. You can do damage to him over time, but he just takes so much punishment that it's almost not worth it. So the best way is going to be to take out the Black Thrall. His damage, the damage dealt to the Watcher is tied to that. This is the Hellfire spell from the Watcher, or it's one version of it anyway. This guy's got to be careful. Flick 42, you are kind of in the middle of a bad thing there. There he goes. Nice teleheal there by the Paladin. Another Tro Train. That's going to be dispatched with a Dispersal Dream, it looks like. But the spell that's currently on the Watcher to keep him in place like that, it's called what is it called? All of a sudden I can't think of the name, but it's actually quite useful, and it does like a radius of about that much, and it just freezes everything in it for like 1 or 2 minutes. A couple of Justice Bows go down in there to keep these units strong and healthy, fighting off that Tro Train. And there we go. The Watcher is loose, and he is going to attempt to do some damage here. But there he goes. Once again, it looks like God's Fire is going to attempt to just chain that spell on the Watcher. For some reason, I can't think of the name of the spell, but it'll come to me. Void. I think it's called Void. So it creates like a little void on the battlefield where nobody can move or do anything. So far the team's actually doing pretty good, taking out this Black Thrall. You can see the best unit to take out the Black Thrall is probably the Forest Giant. You know, some of these other units have more difficulty taking out the Black Thrall. Like, look how much punishment each single Black Thrall unit takes. It is quite ridiculous. So a fully vetted Forest Giant is probably the way to go. And the Watcher is still voided, I guess is the what you would say. Although, oh no, he sets down a Dispersal Dream of his own, which will heal the Black Thrall and seriously damage your unit. So the best way to get rid of a red, it's called a red pop, but basically it's a Dispersal Dream that's unique to the Watcher, is with a chain or some kind of lightning chain reaction like that. Another one going down, but that one didn't quite catch, which is good for some of these guys. The Green Dragon, I wonder if the Green Dragon would be healed in something like a red pop, but yeah. So the best way to prevent that from continuing would be with, for instance, like the Electromancer's Chain spell, or some kind of, or like Mazzarin's Lightning Sword. I forget what it's called. The Lightning Sword's crystal spell. Which I don't know. Is that the name of the spell? I can't really remember, but that's what it does anyway. And that's actually going to do some damage to the Green Dragon. Actually, it gets out of there just in time. But it looks like Flick 42's Heron is aggroing that Watcher. And the Watcher does have a number of different spells. We'll see if he pulls any of them out. He is going to do some of the more common ones like Hellfire and the Red Pop. But he also has some interesting spells. Oh, there's a Vengeance from Mazzarin going down, which I don't know if this dragon wants to be caught in that or not. But yeah, the Watcher also has a Charm spell. Oh, and this spell here, this crazy, I don't know what it is. It's like some kind of crazy storm. And lucky for Spa, he ends up not dying in there. I'm not really sure what that spell does, to be honest, that storm cloud thing. Perhaps somebody who knows more about the, like Pyro, for instance, can maybe let us know exactly how that happens, how that spell works. And oh, this is not going to be good for this dragon. Flick 42 is kind of stuck in this Hellfire, and is he going to get healed? It looks like he is going to get healed, but that Hellfire is continuing, and it looks like Flick 42 may lose. Nope, he does manage to hold on to that Heron Guard, which is great for him. And so one thing that the Watcher can do is summon these Hell Thrall, which I guess I lied, they are like another wave, but sometimes he does summon them and sometimes he doesn't, and it looks like he is summoning them now. But something to keep in mind is that I don't know if there's a limit on how many he can summon, and I've participated in games where we killed all of the Black Thrall, but he summoned so many of these Hell Thrall that we ended up losing because there was just too many of them. So I have participated in games that are kind of like that. Looks like this Hellfire from the Pyromancer is going to go down on these Black Thrall, but I don't think it's going to be able to do all that much damage to these guys. Looks like they're pretty, I don't know if they're immune to it, but they're resistant to it for sure. And the Watcher's going to continue throwing down spells, but he does have kind of a little force field there, so sometimes things will not hit him. Looks like, yep, there's the lightning sword thing from Mazzarin. He is going to attempt to take out this entire Maul wave with that. That's basically Balmung from the single-player campaign, is what that is. Except, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that while it does damage to your team's units, it actually heals Mazzarin when he uses it. So that's something to keep in mind when you have that spell. Is you can sort of kind of do a makeshift heal on yourself on Mazzarin's unit. And it looks like that Wraith is going to get a hold of Cronin's Herengard hero. And all of a sudden, though, this Vengeance goes down, so we'll see if this actually helps out the team or not. And we'll continue this in the next video. Welcome back, everyone. And when we left off, the Watcher was loose and dealing significant damage. The team is at about 2/3 capacity. There's a Vengeance going down. There's all kinds of crazy stuff happening with Mazzarin on his lightning sword. He's got these balls of death, as I like to call them, or spheres of annihilation, as they are technically called. We got the Paladin with his armor on. He's basically aggroing the Watcher at this point. This Dragon, best be careful, taking some damage there. We got a couple of dragons with us. I do want to mention that I played a game of Mazzarin's Demise just yesterday, and it was on Legendary. It was like the first time I had played in a long time, maybe since this game here. And we just died like so fast. We didn't even get to the end game here with the Watcher. But we were at about 65%, about 40 minutes in, and both my guys got one shot by the Demon Lord and by something else that I didn't quite get a chance to see. But yeah, there's a recharge crystal for Spa to pick up. He put a cloud, it looks like, above the Paladin. The Watcher is going to be continuously paralyzed, I think, with somebody has boa paralysis. This guy right here is going to be continually putting that down, it looks like. And Mazzarin letting loose a sphere of influence. Those things go crazy. They just go all over the place and can deal significant damage to your own units, so it's kind of not cool. I mean, I've seen lots of teams die due to crazy plays like that. Basically, you want to stay on the high ground whenever you let loose something like that. The best way to do it is not to do it long range like that, but to get kind of close, and if you hit something like this, and then it just kind of stays in one place. But he kind of did it a little bit differently than how I had anticipated. And that sphere is gonna go and wreak havoc in all of these guys. Uh-oh, 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 what's gonna happen here? What's gonna happen here? Boom! Takes out one of our dragons there. Uh-oh, uh-oh, oh no, oh no. Oh man, barely manages. Oh, the other dragon goes down to the Watcher. So kind of unfortunate. Mazzarin, I think Godsfire trying to keep things a little bit difficult for our team at this point. These guys take some damage, but Flick 42 able to not die to that. And the team is getting kind of forced into this corner. They're going to have to move out. I think a lot of them are trying to make it through this Black Thrall, but it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. That sphere doing a little bit of damage on a Merilith, but really is it worth it? Another Void goes down on the Watcher. Look at the just the radius of that. It's pretty huge. There's a Wraith that the team needs to be careful. Lucky for the team, a couple archers do end up getting escaping from that. That was really kind of crappy. And all of a sudden, down to 46% is the team. I'm not sure if there's like anything. I'll leave up the chat just so you guys can see that. Oh no, there's one of these flaming Mariliths, and those things are super annoying. They're like a little bit crazier than a regular Marilith, but luckily this Berserk has regeneration put on him. Paladin is in there. He's going to put down a Holy Cloud, and that's going to make short work of that flaming Marilith. I think that's a special type of mini-boss that you don't necessarily see all the time. Down to 42% is the team. I wonder who else they managed to lose. As, uh-oh, Mazzarin's kind of in trouble here. It looks like Sormiron is the only other person that's kind of in this area. There's a freaking dispersal dream going off, and what the heck, Mazzarin could have sealed his fate here. He does have Aura of Defense equipped, but he really needs to be careful, as that is no guarantee that he won't be killed. All of a sudden, I would put Aura of Haste on and just try to work your way out. Down to 40% is the team. Sormiron, I guess, lost all his units, and that's unfortunate. Flick 42, meanwhile, is going to try to aggro the Watcher. He does have this level 3 Berserk at 250 kills, so that he has that in his favor. And what that's going to do is going to give him a nice passive regeneration. But this is not really a good position to be in, because your whole team is basically split apart. Split in twain, as it were. You got the level 3 Berserk, you got the Paladin, you got Mazzarin over here. Meanwhile, the rest of your team is trying to deal with mini-bosses and whatever. And yeah, there's a Marilith aggroed on them, there's a Lich aggroed on them, and you don't have a whole lot here able to deal with that. All you have are archers and the Electromancer and the Pyromancer with the Forest Giant. So I guess with the Forest Giant you should be okay technically, but it would be a little bit easier with something like a Paladin here to ensure everyone is nice and healed. So the hard thing to do is you don't want to get caught between a rock and a hard place, as it were. But it looks like Flick 42 is going to be just okay, as you know, he's able to soak up significant damage with that level 3 Berserk. What he needs to be careful of is something like paralysis or being turned to stone by units that are hard to see. He blasts that Beholder away, and now he needs to basically kind of turn around and retreat. Oh no, that Berserk is cursed. And is it still level 3? I'm not sure. I guess it would be. Guess it would be still level 3, but oh, he only has a level 2 Heron Guard, so I'm not sure if he's... Yeah, it is level 3. It is still level 3, but yeah, all of a sudden this Heron Guard is kind of... He was confused for a second, but he is able to survive, and he's going to try to kite the Watcher from now while the rest of the team tries to deal with some of these mini-bosses that are converging on their location. A couple Mariliths, this, that Lich... Arch-Lich almost killed that Spa's Berserk there. A couple of these, 3 Mariliths, looks like, and this Blue Dragon have all showed up, but so have the Paladin and so has Mazzarin. So they have that going for them. Meanwhile, Flick 42 is still able to kite the Watcher, sort of, but the Watcher is kind of like, all right, screw you guys, I'm going over here. So some more Mariliths, it looks like, as here's another one. And the Watcher does indeed turn around, and this is you know, Flick 42 is doing a pretty good job of not dying, although he's running straight into that Hellfire. Let's be careful. Although he's fast enough to for it not to really matter all that much. 3 Blue Dragons in the meantime are kind of converging on this area. Immolation goes down on that Blue Dragon. See how fast its health goes down. That is pretty cool. Here's another Red Dragon here. Mazzarin using his stupid Balmung sword, but it's, that's okay, but it's actually going into the team here and doing some friendly fire damage. But luckily the Electromancer throws up a storm, although it's not exactly overhead the team here. Another Red Dragon, meanwhile, making its way in. Another Beholder. So this is like when the big boss waves start converging with the Thrall wave and the Watcher, the final boss, all here. When the more units you lose, the more you're at a disadvantage. So as that does trigger additional waves as well. Another Archlich is on his way. And, you know, unfortunately in Mazzarin's Demise, there is no, like, resurrection kind of spell, so you have to make sure that your units don't die, if possible. As the Watcher is now loose, he might be taking out some of these archers if he had half a mind to do so. A green dragon now in the mix, as, yeah, oh, nope. Looks like the Watcher does end up getting paralyzed momentarily. But 4 dragons. There's 2 red dragons, a blue dragon, and a green dragon here. Luckily, the Pyromancer probably going to be able to take out this green dragon with a wall. That blue dragon does get taken out by the Paladin, it looked like. And this red dragon is probably going to be focused down by Flick 42's level 3 Berserk. Yeah, that Pyromancer does indeed take out that green dragon. This red dragon here probably going to be focused down. Perhaps by the Forest Giant there. Although when it dies, it deals some damage to units in a radius around it. So that's something to watch out for. Another Void going down on the Watcher, so that's interesting. A couple more Archliches, a couple of Beholders, and yeah, that Red Dragon does indeed go down there as well. And so one of the things you have to do when you play Mazzarin's Demise is look in every single direction, because the enemies are going to come on all sides. So that's how you use a Sphere of Influence. You kill one thing and then it stays at rest. That is the best way to use it there, as when it keeps going on and on, you can do additional damage with it, but you can also put your team at risk. So that's the other thing about using the spells like that, is that you can do friendly fire damage quite easily. That, and I would say the oh, what's the other one? I can't think of it right now, but there's another spell that Seversect. Seversect, I think, is the name of that spell, and that spell can do significant damage to your team as well. So here comes the sphere. It's going to rush in here and not actually hit anything. Looks like the Watcher is aggroed on the Paladin at this point, so that's okay, because the Paladin can soak up a lot of damage. So that's not too terribly bad. And there we see, that is actually from a Ervile, if we can find where that is. Those are the hard to see things that move very slowly along the ground like a shadow. That is really hard to see when there's so many craters and things obstructing the battlefield. Looks like the Watcher's actually been focused down quite a lot here, as looks like Flick 42 is actually able to do a number. Although he is level 3, he's lost a lot of his kills there, so that's kind of interesting. But that, I guess that doesn't really change the functionality of a level 3 Berserk, or Berserker, I should say. Although that Dark Storm Cloud can be bad if there's going to be 2 of them now. He does have that super regen on, and luckily he gets out of there just in time. So that's good for him, although he does get confused by the Watcher at this point, and he is surrounded by Mercurian Giants as well, so he needs to be careful. He does dodge the bullet there, as those Hellfires do go down and take out 2 Mercurian Giants with them. Nice pus there by, looks like someone's Archer doing that scratch, I think, possibly. So the team did lose something. They're now down to 39%. As, yeah, this is pretty much their entire force. They got these 2 units here, this Flick 42, who's basically trying to keep his level 3 Heron alive. He also has a level 2 Heron Hero, or I mean level 3 Berserk. Did I say Heron? And then we have a couple of archers. We have 4 archers, the Mancers, Forest Giant, Paladin, and Mazzarin, with a smattering of additional melee units. No more dwarves, no more ranger, I don't think, and other units as well are completely gone. But most of the core units are still alive, so we have that going for us in this game. So that's not too bad, although being de-vetted is not fun at all. Where is the frickin', I guess that was it there, the Wraith. So he does manage to heal it with his mana. So that wasn't too terribly bad, although, ouch. Luckily, level 3 Berserk can take a lot of punishment. However, the Watcher is aggroed on the Pyromancer. Oh, Oh, and did you see that? Somebody's Heron Guard just got wasted in that Hellfire. So luckily though, it's not, the damage isn't all that much compared to what it could have been, only down to 38%, and that Watcher does indeed get husked and is paralyzed momentarily. A couple of storm clouds going up, but how is the mana on these Mancers? Looks like Pyromancer has a lot of mana left over, and where is the Electromancer? Here's the Electromancer trying to work up some more mana in the meantime, and uh-oh, another Hellfire going down, and Hellfire, I think the Thrall, the Black Thrall, might be immune to Hellfire, and unfortunately that that Paralysis Arrow doesn't connect, Paralysis Bow I guess I should say, but the next one does. How many left? Oh, okay, there's quite a few remaining for that. That kind of hurt. Creamy Cowboy though is able to heal himself up. Another Void goes down, that one pretty okay, doesn't actually capture any of the friendly units in it. So that works out a little bit, and all of a sudden there's a sort of a lull as there's no, it doesn't seem like there's very many units, enemy units in this vicinity for now. Although who knows what's slightly outside the Fog of War range, as there are a couple of Black Thrall lumbering in from this direction. Looks like there's going to be a lot more pretty soon. Here we go. And these units are going to attempt to focus down the health of the Watcher as much as possible. The Watcher is going to turn to stone, which is pretty amazing, although that was a kind of weird Sphere of Annihilation. I'm not sure why he casted it like that, where he was aiming. I guess he was aiming for that. Maybe he's just trying to use up crystals. I have no idea what kind of logic he's using in doing that. But even though the Watcher's turned to stone, the game is not quite over, because this is really, that is kind of terrible. Mazzarin, why are you doing that? That could actually lose, if that rebounds and goes back on your team, that can actually lose you the game. Couple of Spider Queens converging on this area. One thing to be careful of, when you turn the Watcher to stone, is that you are going to have waves converging on you, so it's hard to be able to dispatch them. Oh, Seversex, that's what that looks like, as that kind of acts very erratically and does a lot of damage if it manages to connect with anything. Although it looks like fortunately it is probably going to avoid the entire team here. As if we can see, it starts acting erratically after a time and then just moves really strangely across the map. Oh my goodness! Oh, that was so close, so close. Oh wow, that was really, really close. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no, that Sphere of Annihilation taking out some friendlies there. Down to 37%. The Watcher still is stoned. The other thing to be careful of are when the Watcher turns to stone, that triggers goals to come and try to heal him from a distance. So you have to focus those down before they're able to close the gap and heal him. And once he turns to stone, they don't stop. They will heal him all the way up to full capacity if given the opportunity. They don't stop coming. They don't stop after he's, you know, they're not just triggered only when he's stoned. Uh-oh. Scratches. Archer ends up getting turned to stone there. So all these units are going to try to take out the Watcher before the Black Thrall converge and push them off of the Watcher. They're going to try to do as much damage as they humanly can. So if they're able to survive this wave, they have a pretty good shot at winning this game here. As Seversect goes down inside of all this Thrall. Does it do a lot of damage? I'm not really sure. Let's see, does it actually connect? I don't really know. Bow of Justice is going to go down in this area and continue to do some damage. Oh, another Sphere of Annihilation. Is that going to do some more friendly fire damage or not? I'm not quite sure. Looks like it does a little bit of damage. Is it going to take out? Oh, no, it does take out the Pyromancer, so that's unfortunate. Down to 32% at this point. So Mazzarin actually killing like at least 3 friendly units, as some of the players have a few choice words for Godsfire, who of course was the author of those Spheres of Annihilation. Doesn't really use them to their best effect, I would say. However, at this point, does it really matter? The Watcher is so low on health. All the team needs to do at this point is just hang on, defeat as many of these enemies as possible so that they can continue to focus down the Watcher. I don't know if we can see exactly the goals running in, or if they've just been dispatched in a dispersal dream going down on these Tro. However, are they going to run in and connect? No, lucky for God's Fire, the dispersal dream basically fizzles out before these Tro connect with the rest of these units here and possibly start a chain reaction. Looks like a couple of Justice Bows keeping Mazzarin in good health, and the rest of the Black Thrall looks like it focused down as well, and all of a sudden it's looking quite good as the Watcher is pretty low on health. There's a goal. Is it going to be able to connect? No, it gets taken out by Sir Parsons on the Electromancer, so pretty good job there. He's going to take out a couple more of these goals. They are basically single filing their way in here, although Zoso's Heron Guard is kind of in trouble here as there is an Ervile on him. There's a couple of Erviles it looks like on him, so I don't know if he's going to be taken out or not, although it's just a matter of time before the Watcher goes down, it seems. He does have a lot of HP, so that is quite a lot of hits, even though it doesn't look like it, judging from his health bar. But all of the team's units are going to basically go ahead and take out the Watcher. So a win on Legendary, perhaps the most difficult Mazzarin's Demise build to date. That is Mazzarin's Demise 6 version 4. Release candidate 10A, I believe, is the most difficult. I think 10C is kind of a nerf that industry introduced, and I'm not sure if there's any builds that have been introduced since that. So I believe this was probably the most difficult release to date. And with 32% remaining, only clocking in at 2 hours and 11 minutes, less than 2 hours and 12 minutes. This was a pretty quick game, all things considered, as these Mazzarin's Demise games can last easily, 3 hours. Between 2 and 3 hours typically, but 2.5 hours to 3 hours usually, especially with extended end games such as we saw here. Although this one didn't really linger that long. I think between the level 3 Berserk and everything else, the players were able to focus down his health quite a lot. So that worked out pretty well. I'd say Flick42 probably the MVP this game, especially with all that damage on the Demon Lord. As we can see here, he got almost 12,000 damage. So over 7,000 kills this game to 33 losses. Pretty incredible. Mazzarin's Demise, one of my all-time favorite types of experiences with the Myth 2 engine. It's just incredible. There's really not anything like it that I can imagine. So yeah, there you have it. This was a game that was played pretty recently, I believe earlier this year, and that was a win, one of the very few wins on Legendary for Mazzarin's Demise. So thanks again for joining me, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed these videos, and we'll see you next time. Seversex in the middle of the team, very nice touch there.